All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started with today's session. First of all, thank you so much for joining in. My name is Amna Chandna, and I'm an educational advisor at Education USA's Karachi office. I graduated from the University of Maryland with a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics, and in today's session, I'll be talking to you about gap years, whether it's suitable to take one, and how you can use a gap year to boost your college application when you do decide to apply. Before we begin, I would like to point out that we'll be taking questions at the end of today's session. So if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A box and we'll be addressing them towards the end. Now, before we get started on today's topic, I want to talk to you a little bit about who we are and what we do. So, Education USA is a part of the US Department of State network. We have more than 400 international student advising centers in more than 170 countries all over the world. Education USA in Pakistan provides free advising services to Pakistani students who are interested in applying for their bachelor's, master's, or PhD in the United States. Education USA is your official source of information on all US higher education. So if you want current, accurate, and up to date information, please feel free to reach out to us by visiting our website, educationusa.org. Additionally, we also have an application now. So if you wish to take a picture of the screen, you can go ahead and scan the QR codes for iPhone and Android and download our app to communicate with us Mondays through Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It works just like WhatsApp. So you can reach out to us with a message and we'll be able to address your query by responding to it. Now let's move on to today's topic, gap year. Gap year taboo no more, right? Today's session is meant to demystify the gap year experience and help you chart a course towards a more informed decision. Oftentimes, there are a lot of myths, a lot of uncertainties, there's a lot of confusion associated with a gap year. What is a gap year? Why do students take it? Is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing? How do you justify taking a gap year? There's so many questions that students often find themselves grappling with when it comes to taking a gap year. So today we're going to try and address those questions and help you make a more informed decision about whether or not a gap year is right for you depending on your specific profile. So typically, a gap year is a year-long break before or after college. In today's session, obviously, we will be focusing more on before college. So we'll be talking about what to do in a gap year and how to make the most of it in the year before you start your undergraduate studies in the United States. But the things that we will be talking about are also applicable in other years of your educational studies. So even if you're not taking a gap in that specific year, you can still benefit from the information that we will be discussing. So stay tuned to find out more. Now, the second thing is that students often engage in various educational and developmental activities during this gap year, this break in their educational curriculum. And this time can be spent traveling or doing some type of regular work. In most cases, if you're thoughtfully planning your gap year, then it should not be a problem for you, right? In fact, if you plan correctly, you'll likely find that applying to college after a gap year means that your application is even stronger and your admissions prospects are even better than they were originally, right? So students are so focused on getting into college, they forget about the why. And taking a gap year oftentimes buys you enough time to think about why it is that you wish to go to a specific university or that you wish to enroll in a specific program. Why is it that you've chosen your particular field? And what are the different reasons associated with why you're pursuing what you wish to pursue for the next 4 years? Because let's face it, it's a 4 year commitment, it's a tall ask, and it's important to know why you're doing something, right? So let's move on to the next slide and let's talk a little bit about why students take gap years. So, one of the biggest reasons that students often take a gap year is because they are dissatisfied with their college decisions or with their final year grades, right? So, if you haven't gotten into your dream school and you are confident that getting some extra time or revisiting your application, making a few changes can, help you get into that dream school or get into that particular university that you were hoping to get into, then students do often consider taking a gap year. Also, if your grades dropped for whatever reason, maybe there was an illness in the family, maybe there was a family emergency, maybe there was a different reason, something happened on a personal level that caused you to become distracted or that caused your grades to dip, right? And your final semester grades are not as good as you want them to be, then students oftentimes do consider taking a gap year. The second reason is that their aid package was not met. So, whatever their financial need was, the university was not able to offer it. And that's why they are not ready to go off to university yet. And they wish to take some time off. Thirdly, it could be a family commitment. Maybe there's a terminally ill grandparent, maybe there's something else at home that needs to be done, and taking a gap year would help you address that issue. Another reason could be that you're not sure about what you want to study or what you want to do with your life, and you think that taking a year off or taking a few months off can help you figure out what it is that you wish to do in the future and help you make a more informed, well rounded decision. And finally, sometimes the final reason is that students are often burnt out, right? Students work really hard in their A levels or their final years, especially in the last year, which is the senior year of high school or your A2. And oftentimes that can take a toll on you mentally, emotionally, and you just need a break, right? You just need a break. You just need a break to kind of de-stress, to recalibrate, to just travel, to kind of recover from the stressors that you experience in your final year of schooling. So whichever of these reasons are the reason that you're thinking of taking a gap year, you do need to understand that you need to plan your gap year, right? And you need to figure out what it is exactly that you wish to do with your gap, so that when you do end up applying to universities, you can go ahead and justify this time off and show the universities what you did in this time that helped you become an even better candidate for their program or for their specific campus. So let's go ahead and talk about the pros and the cons of taking a gap year. Obviously, first we will go ahead and talk about the pros. So, the biggest pro or benefit of taking a gap year would be that it allows you to explore, right? It allows you to make a more informed decision when it comes to choosing your major, when it comes to choosing your profession, when it comes to making a commitment to any one specific university or program, right? I can give you my own personal experience. When I was in my senior year of high school, when I graduated, I wasn't sure what it is that I wanted to study, right? I applied for business. I applied for business studies and I applied for another university's liberal arts program. And it's funny, I actually ended up doing my bachelor's in economics, like I said. So the what I wanted to study at the age of 17 versus what I ended up studying at the ages of 19, 20, and 21 was very different, right? And taking a gap or taking a pause in your educational journey can really help you figure out what it is that you want to study, because at the end of the day, it is a big commitment. And you are going to be doing a lot of different courses in that specific field, especially if you end up going to the US, right? Because in the US, there's a lot of focus on specializations. So in my field, which is the field of economics, the first 2 years of the degree are spent doing general courses, but then you go on to specialize in economics courses. So if you're not fond of economics, then doing courses like game theory or mathematical economics or quantitative analyses is not going to be something that you will enjoy. So that's another reason that you should maybe consider taking a gap or a gap year, just to figure out what it is that you want to commit to. The second important thing is that it has real implications on your application, right? Taking a gap lets you revisit and improve your university list. It lets you rewrite your essays. It helps you improve your A2 grades, because if you didn't get a good enough A2 grade in some important subject, then you can go ahead and take the October November retake for that specific subject and hopefully get a better grade, right? And similarly, it can also help you retake the SAT and get a better SAT score, which will obviously strengthen your application. So if you think that you did not do justice to your essays, if you think that you rushed through them and you can do a better job writing a more unique, a more justified essay, which will show a better picture of you to the university admissions officers, then maybe taking a gap year or a gap semester will help you do that, right? The third thing is skill set. So if you think that you don't have enough internships, you don't have enough community service experience, you don't have enough skills on your resume, right? Then taking a gap year will let you enhance your skill set and strengthen your resume by also giving you the chance to enroll in free online courses, or maybe learning a foreign language. What this means is that if you think there's something specific that you wish to learn before you officially start university, and before you have to start living on your own in a different country all by yourself, managing your own household expenses, cooking your own food, if there's something that you want to add to your resume, then a gap year is the perfect time to do it, right? Because taking massive open online courses through universities that offer them for free online will help you add a skill to your resume. whether it's learning Python, whether it's learning Java, whether it's learning some data analytics course, or whether it's even learning a foreign language. For example, I speak Spanish fluently because I learned it 12 years ago in school, and I would highly recommend that speaking a foreign language does, build your resume. It is very impressive to see that a person can communicate in international foreign language, and it also helps you learn about a new culture. It helps you learn so much more about different countries that speak that language. So if you're interested in learning a new foreign language, then also a gap year might be a good idea. So these are the three main things. The fourth and most important thing, like I said, it will help you get hands-on experience, right? For example, if you want to be a data analyst but you haven't had real experience with working with data, right, then maybe you want to do an internship, or maybe you want to get some more exposure when it comes to working with data, and just sifting through vast quantities of data to find out the specific information that you're looking for. And you can do this by taking a gap year and engaging in an internship or a paid job or some sort of volunteer work, or getting some sort of exposure that will help you learn more about the hands-on experience of interacting with large data sets, right? And tweaking them to get the information that you require. Right? So these are just four of the main biggest benefits of taking a gap year. Now let's be honest and talk about a few of the disadvantages, right? So if you look at the cons that are associated with taking a gap year, the first and most important con is that it's not something everybody does, right? Which is, I guess, why a lot of you are here in the first place, because it's something that's non-traditional, it's unconventional, right? This can lead to feelings of self-doubt and make you feel left behind. So you need to be mentally ready, and you need to be 100% sure that this is something that you want to do. Otherwise, you could end up feeling very dissatisfied with your decision, right? The second biggest disadvantage could be that it can disrupt your flow of being in a teaching learning environment. What does that mean? Well, if you look at your academic history, for if you're a traditional educational student in the education system, then you will know that you basically started going to school at the age of 5 and never stopped, right? So you're used to that flow of being in a classroom, of being assigned homework, of being assigned problem sets, of doing it on a day-to-day basis, of going to school, sitting in a physical classroom setting, learning about different subjects. There's definitely a routine that is set there. But if you take a gap year, then there are chances that you will end up disrupting this flow, right? And it can be hard to get back on track after the gap year to ensure that you can go back to your pre-gap year self when it comes to performing in class, or being on point with your homework, or making sure that everything is done on time. So that's definitely another disadvantage. The third one would be that it can lead to a loss of financial aid which was offered to you, and you would have to resubmit your CSS profile. So if you're a student who's already received university admissions and you want to take a gap year because you want to resubmit your applications, you do need to understand that this can mean in a loss of financial aid offers, right? So if you've been offered scholarships, chances are you might lose them, and you would have to then all over again resubmit your CSS profile the second time and upload all your information all over again, and then hope for similar or more scholarship offers, but there's no guarantee that you would get as much or more aid, right? So that's a risk that you're running. And the fourth disadvantage would be that it can be hard to justify, and it may not add significant value if you don't utilize it well. So the thing that I'm talking about here is that you need to make sure, if you are deciding on taking a gap year, you need to be able to justify what you did in that time, right? So you need to make ample and complete use of the time that you get off, and ensure that you're engaging in useful, productive activities that you can list on your resume, that you can add to your applications. Otherwise, a gap year would not add significant value to your applications, and it could even be hard to justify. Universities might wonder, what did you do in that time, and was it even worth it? So you need to ensure that the answer to both these questions is yes, you did utilize it well, and yes, it was worth it because it did add value to your profile. Now, what it is that you're not supposed to do, Well, first and foremost, let's look at the image in the slide here. This is exactly what you're not supposed to do in a gap year, right? So if you have decided to take a gap year, you need to remember, please do not let yourself become demotivated, right? It's very easy to fall into the trap of becoming demotivated and becoming discouraged because there's nobody following up with you constantly, like university and school days, to ensure that things are getting done. Right. The second thing is do not do nothing. Right. Your time is valuable. There's a reason that you decided to take this gap in your educational journey. And if you have made the decision to take a gap, you need to make sure you're utilizing your time to the best of your abilities. Thirdly, do not stay in your comfort zone. You need to try new things, right? If you're taking such a big risk, if you're making this decision of going ahead and taking a break, taking a pause in your academic journey, then you need to ensure that you try new things, you try new internships. Like I said, if there's a field that has always charmed you, it's always attracted you, but you weren't sure about it, this is the time to actually go ahead and experiment with it. Because chances are later onwards, you'll be so busy with university studies, you wouldn't have this kind of time and these kind of unlimited resources available to you to make use of them. So you do need to be organized. Again, do not be disorganized and work with a plan and with deadlines. So don't let anybody find you without a plan or without deadlines. You need to make sure you're holding yourself accountable by ensuring that you have specific deadlines attached to your goals and that you're following through with those deadlines, right? You're taking the necessary action steps to be able to meet them. And finally, do not be worried about other people's perception of a gap year, right? Nobody else has to walk in your shoes. Nobody else knows your specific profile. Nobody else has been, covering your academic journey. Only you know your own specific profile, your needs, what is best suited for you given your specific choice of study and your academic history. So if you think taking a gap year is right for you, and if you've looped in your parents, you've talked to your counselors, everybody agrees that this is the right move, then don't worry about other people's perception, right? Once you've made your decision, don't let yourself, fall into the trap of self doubt. So once you've made it, definitely stick to it and don't worry about what other people will say, because at the end of the day, only you know what is best for you, and you have a lot of people around you who can help you navigate this choice and help you figure out how to make the most use out of it, right? So let's go ahead and look at some of the things that you should do in a gap year. Well, the first thing is you should revisit your college application, right? You should get feedback from your peers, from your teachers, from your advisors, from Education USA advisors, right? We're a free resource. We can help you out and help you figure out what it is in your application that you can improve and how you can improve it, right? Secondly, look for the specific areas of improvement that you think are necessary or that others think might help, right? In addition to that, like I said, this is a great opportunity to take the SAT if you haven't taken it yet, or to retake the SAT or your A2 exams if you think you need to do that to get a better score. Next, you should also try to conduct research with US based professors. So, if you haven't already done so, look at the universities that you're interested in, look at the professors who are teaching there. What kind of courses do they offer? What's their teaching style? Go and follow them on LinkedIn and get in touch with them if possible to find out more about their research projects and how you could factor into them, so, to show that you are serious about the specific profession that you're going to go ahead and choose, and that you have done research when it comes to specific areas of that field, right? And finally, you should revisit your university list and look at the different universities and colleges that you had added to your college list and look at other options as well. So if originally you were not thinking big or having an open mindset, then this is the perfect opportunity to go ahead and revisit your university list with an open mind, keeping in mind what are the different options that are now available to you and that you know about, right? I'll once again give you my own example. The first time that I was applying as an international freshman student to universities, I only applied to universities in one state of America because I was so sure that I wanted to go back to that specific state. I used to live there, I had done a part of my high school there, and I just wanted to get back to that state. I didn't even apply to other states, right? Now, that's something that you should not be doing. So when I applied as a transfer student 2 years later, I ensured that I applied to a different array of schools and colleges from different states in America, keeping in mind my budget and keeping in mind my requirements. So this is just one small thing that can make a big difference in your overall college experience. So please don't limit yourself, and do ensure that if you have taken a gap year, you go ahead and revisit your college list to ensure that it is balanced, that it is doing justice to your profile, and that it is maximizing your financial feasibility, right? That it's a good fit for you. Next, you should also carefully design SMART goals. What do we mean by SMART goals? SMART goals are basically specific goals that are measurable, that are achievable, that are relevant, and that are time bound, right? How do you do this? You have to assign deadlines to each task item on your list and ensure that whatever goal it is you're trying to achieve, you're also doing the things that are needed to achieve it, right? So break it down into small task lists, and ensure that you're getting each task done in a timely manner, and hold yourself accountable. So this is what point number 3 is talking about, that you need to track your progress towards your end goal. And in addition to tracking your progress, you need to prioritize your day-to-day tasks based on importance and urgency. Remember, not all tasks are created equal, and some tasks will be more important and urgent than other tasks. So at the end of the day, it is down to you to decide which task it is that needs your urgent attention, that needs to be done on that same day, and which tasks are such that they can be delayed for a little bit, right? Similarly, if it's a non urgent task but it's of an important nature, make sure you do it first, right? Because at the end of the day, you need to ensure that whatever needs to get done is getting done on a day to day basis in your gap year. Otherwise, you could easily fall behind and lose track of your end goals, right? So, in addition to these two things, you can also work on building your transferable skills. Now, a transferable skill is an ability or experience that can be applied to different roles. These skills can be transferred over from one job or one project or one event to another role. One example of this is leadership skills, right? So, if you're taking a gap, you should definitely work on improving your leadership skills. Then there's social skills. These are also transferable skills that really help you shine in any kind of social or academic setting. Creative skills, word and communication skills, data skills, time management skills, financial management skills, these are all skills that are transferable and that will help you regardless of which field it is that you wish to pursue in your undergraduate studies, right? So you can also enroll in online or in-person classes for Adobe, Java, Python, whatever it is that interests you, and use this time to increase your expertise in that specific area. You should also get out of your comfort zone and find ways to strengthen your resume. This doesn't have to be limited to one internship. It could be working at a not for profit, it could be a volunteer work, whatever it is that you think will add to your resume and make it more impressive for admissions officers at different universities and colleges. Additionally, you should try to build a new network with like minded individuals who are interested in the same field, right? And you should also try out different professions. If you are not certain, or are you not sure about two or three different professions, you're confused about which one to choose, well, you should go ahead and use this time to try out different professions and ensure that at the end of the year you make an informed choice. Right. In addition to this, you can also work on introspection and self actualization. You can expand on your existing hobbies or passions. For example, if you like playing the guitar or piano, you can get better at doing that. Or you can, if you always wanted to learn and never had the chance, this is the perfect time to go ahead and pick up that skill. You can explore a new sport or hobby, like taking swimming lessons, football lessons, taekwondo, whatever it is that makes you happy and that you think will add value to your day to day life. You can start a blog or publish your written work online. A lot of us are closeted writers or poets, and we don't actually share our work with others, but we've always wanted to on a subliminal level. So if that's the case with you, go ahead and publish your work and share it with others and build a following, right? You can also read meaningful books that will help you conquer college life and make the most out of your university experience. And finally, you can spend quality time with your loved ones and make new memories, right? Because at the end of the day, you are going to be away from your family for 4 years. So the more time that you're getting with them, this time that you're getting with them, you should use it to the best of your abilities to create new memories. Just be happy with them and give them the kind of attention and time that you always wanted to, but perhaps couldn't because of your educational responsibilities. Additionally, you should also learn how to master essential adulting tasks. What does this mean? First and foremost, you should know how to budget and efficiently manage your own finances. If you're going to be studying as an international student in the United States for 4 years during your undergraduate studies, you definitely need to know how to do budgeting and how to handle your finances. Additionally, you should also know how to manage and restock or stock your monthly groceries and household items because, again, at the end of the day, this is a responsibility that is going to fall on your shoulders. And you need to know how to be able to effectively and efficiently do it. The third thing is you should learn and build on your people management skills, right? Especially if you're going to be sharing a room and living with a roommate. Because at the end of the day, remember that studying in the US is a culturally diverse experience. And the more you know about people and what their preferences are and what good rules are and what, good room sharing ethics are, the more positive your experience will be in sharing your room with another person, right? Another skill that could really help you shine and stand out amidst all the freshmen in your university in the future could be learning how to make unique and interesting PowerPoint presentations. Regardless of which university you go to or whichever field it is that you choose to pursue, making PowerPoint presentations for class assignments is something that you're going to have to do at some point or another in those 4 years. And if you know how to make unique and interesting PowerPoint presentations, trust me, your classmates, your professors, your project mates, everybody is going to be impressed by you. So, this is something that you can learn. And finally, you should also learn how to master the art of diplomacy and improve your public relations and diplomacy skills, right? Because no matter which field you're in, once again, you're going to be interacting with people on a day to day basis, on an hourly basis. And if you are good at people management and if you're good at public relations and diplomacy, trust me, it's going to benefit you in the long run as well as the short run. Now let's talk a little bit about the gap year timeline. So the word gap year suggests that you're getting a whole year to yourself, but realistically, that's not the case at all, right? If you look at this timeline, the month of July will be the best time for you to retake the SAT. So if you are choosing to take a gap year, then you should seriously be preparing to take the SAT sometime in July or August because this is the best time to be studying for it and dedicating all your extra hours to mastering the math and English sections of the SAT. Next, in August, this is the best time to start working on the Common App essays. Like I said, a lot of us oftentimes don't spend enough time working on our essays, but the essay is a very important part of the application process. It is one of those few components that are not data centered, right? The essay is all about you telling the universities why you are a good fit for their program, for their campus, for their specific university, and how you deserve that chance to get admitted into this esteemed institution. So you can do all of this by writing an excellent essay, and if you start writing it in August, that gives you enough time to go ahead and revise it several times until you are fully satisfied with the end result. So you should be showing your essay after you've written the first draft to your school counselor, to Education USA advisors. You can show it to one or two of your closest classmates to get their feedback on how to improve it and how to get it to the level where it can reach, right? If you spend enough time working on it. Next, we come to September. Now, September is the best time to use strategic college search to finalize your university list if you haven't done so already, right? Because starting October, early applications will open, they will start. And if you haven't done so already, you should aim to have all the university list finalized and all your university details jotted down by the end of September. Like I said, in October, you'll start applying early to different universities and colleges if you wish to apply in the early admission cycle. In November, you will continue to do this, and November will also have some scholarship deadlines. December will be the time to finalize everything for regular decision applicants who don't wish to use the early application cycle and want to apply regularly. And January will be when ED2 and regular application deadlines will be there. So you will need to start submitting those ED and regular applications to universities. Finally, in February, if you applied early, early decisions do start coming in. So this is a good time to start enrolling in skills-based courses. And even after February, you do need to remember that if you do end up leaving for university that fall, then you will have until July. So whatever you do between February and July does matter, and you can impress your universities and you can build your profile even more by utilizing that time well and enrolling in massive open online courses or doing skills-based work or getting some hands-on research done, right? So let's move on to the next slide. And just remember four important things when it comes to taking a gap year. The first thing is all gap years don't look alike, right? Don't compare your experience to somebody else's experience. You should definitely aim to learn from others' experiences, but don't necessarily limit yourself to doing what other people have done before. Think beyond that. And again, don't forget to experiment, right? The second thing is only you know your situation best. Nobody else knows your profile. Nobody else knows your academic history, your academic journey. Nobody else knows your strengths and weaknesses. Only you are fully aware of that, right? So it's time to ask yourself, are you intrinsically motivated or extrinsically motivated? What is it that drives you, that helps you succeed, that helps you shine? And once you've asked yourself this, it's time to actually go ahead and talk to your family and think about your long-term goals. So you need to keep your long-term goals in mind when you're making this decision of whether or not to take a gap year, because at the end of the day, whatever you choose to do at this specific time in your life will determine the trajectory of your future decisions, right? So this is a very important time in your life, and whatever you do decide on at the end of the day will make or break the next 4 years of your life. So you should aim to make a well-informed, well thought out, well-rounded decision after talking to the people around you, after gaining from their experiences, and after doing some, inner thinking and some soul searching to find out what it is that drives you, what it is that motivates you, what is best for you, and how you can use this time to the best of your ability to show to universities that you are the best possible candidate for their program and their campus. Now, here's a list of resources that you can use when you're making this decision. So please go ahead and take a screenshot of this and visit these websites and read these articles to go ahead and learn more about how other people use their gap years and what you need to know when applying to colleges after a gap year, and what is some general career advice when it comes to career development and exploring different gap years. Now, that does bring us to the end of our session for today. So let me go ahead and move on to addressing your questions. Remember, you can reach out to us at any time, regardless of which part of your decision making process you're in, by reaching out to us via email. Our email is karachi@educationusa.org. And then you can also visit our website and register with us to get regular emails about upcoming workshops and webinars that we host, and about different university sessions that we have with university higher education representatives from different colleges and different programs, and to learn more about the programs that are out there. Okay, first question. I already took a gap year. I'm now in my second gap year. It was because I didn't have that good of a student profile, extracurriculars. So can you please guide me on what sort of ECAs I can participate in to make my student profile? Okay, the first thing that you can do that you mentioned is that you haven't taken the SAT. You should definitely take the SAT, because while the SAT is not required in all universities and colleges in the US, it will help you strengthen your profile. A good SAT score will improve your application. Secondly, you can also go ahead and take some of those skills-based courses that I was talking about. So if there's any specific area that you're interested in, go ahead and start taking online courses in that area. Remember, these online courses are free of cost, right? They're administered through big universities in the United States. So I, for example, had to do one as a part of my master's in my accounting class, and it was a course that was administered by the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. So imagine sitting in Karachi and doing an 8-week long course at your own leisure time, at your own space. There's no rush, right? It's just at your own time, whenever you're comfortable, whenever you want to study. It's online, it's free of cost, and at the end of it, you do get a certificate that you can add to your profile. So do courses like those. Additionally, you can do an internship, you can do a fellow, a teaching fellowship, you can do an unpaid volunteer work at the organization that you wish to intern at or volunteer at. So there's a lot that you can do. You can do community service. All of these things will show that you are a responsible citizen who is interested in giving back to the community, and that you are an introspective individual who is determined to build their profile to the best of their abilities. And those are some of the qualities that universities are looking for, you know. Right. What are your views about multiple gap years? Again, sometimes life happens and multiple gap years are unavoidable. The important thing to remember is, again, justifying those gap years, right? You need to show universities what did you do in those multiple years that added to your profile, that added to your skill set, that added to your transferable skills, right? And that helped you become an even better candidate for their program. Next question, apart from USA, can gap years be a problem for other countries? Again, at the end of the day, I can't comment on other countries because we are at the end of the day Education USA. So for each country, my recommendation would be just start doing some research. There are a lot of resources available out there that will give you a good idea of whether or not a gap year is recommended or appreciated in the university that you're applying to in that specific country. But for the US, the important thing to remember is that you need to be able to justify it, and you shouldn't be wasting time. And again, an important thing to remember is, even though it is called a gap year, it's not really a year. It's more like a semester that you're getting, right? It's just a few months of gap, and then you have to already start applying to different universities. So you need to make sure you are on top of your game when it comes to planning those few months and ensuring that you apply to the different universities that you're interested in, and that you do enough ECAs and enough resume building activities that you can justify that time off. Right. Next question, can I come to Education USA office in Karachi? So we do have in-person meetings, but our initial meetings are always virtual. So if you wish to get in touch with us, again, please feel free to email us and we will get in touch with you. We'll schedule a Zoom call. We'll help you figure out, you know, we'll get to know your profile and help you figure out whether gap year is good for you or not, right? I'm a student of second year, so what will you advise me? Again, Najwa, basically the important thing to remember is that you need to, even if you're not taking a gap year, you need to make sure that you're engaging actively in building your profile, enhancing your resume, and increasing your skill set to maximize your chances of getting into the universities that you want to get into, and being able to actually attend university in the United States. Right. What is the maximum number of multiple gap years? Again, you need to understand that there's something called traditional students and there's something called non-traditional students, right? So if you take too many years off in you before your undergrad, then you will move into the category of non-traditional students. So if this is the case, then definitely get in touch with us and we'll tell you more about how this can impact your profile and what are the things that you need to be looking at if you are falling under the category of non-traditional student in the United States for undergraduate studies. Um, Right. The final question when it comes to visa questions. Okay, so we're having several visa seminars that are scheduled. We would highly recommend that you go ahead and attend one or two of those visa sessions that we will be having, because they will be with an official visa officer and they'll be able to guide you in that session about what it is specifically that visa officers are looking for and what can positively impact your application. Right. Do gap year students have a disadvantage against non-gap year students? So, like I said, one of the biggest disadvantages that gap year students have to overcome is that they are no longer in the flow of being in a classroom setting. So that is definitely something that students have to think about, but that whether or not they're ready to go back to university. So they have to make an active effort. They have to put in a little more effort to get back on track when it comes to studying and performing well in a classroom setting. But that being said, it's not something that should stop you. And at the end of the day, this decision is based on bigger things than just that one isolated factor, right? That does bring us to the end of the questions. Thank you so much for all your queries. If you have any other query that we weren't able to address, please go ahead and send us an email and we'll be more than happy to address it for you. Once again, thank you so much for attending today's session. We hope you found it useful and you learned a little bit more about what the entire gap year process is, whether or not it's good for you, how it's a decision that you need to arrive at based on significant research, and how you can utilize your gap year to the best of your abilities to justify this time off and become best possible candidate to universities. Thank you. Take care.